and welcome back to the NeuroThread podcast, a podcast where we explore the connections between medicine, neuroscience, music, and the human stories that shape healthcare. I'm your host, Yash Kinney, and today I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Sherika Newman. Dr. Newman is a board-certified family medicine physician with fellowship training in hospice and palliative medicine. She has spent more than a decade helping patients and their families navigate some of life's most challenging moments. And she also founded Doctor in the Family to make trusted medical guidance more accessible. Dr. Newman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Yash.
Of course, it's truly a pleasure to have you. I actually came across one of your posts about a 92-year-old patient with dementia who was taken back to Puerto Rico by his family. Instead of focusing only on his diagnosis, you highlighted the joy that came from giving him one more meaningful experience. That story really stayed with me because it reminded me that medicine isn't just always about treating disease, but instead, it's really about caring for people. So I'd love to start with sort of a broad question. In palliative medicine, what does quality of life really mean, and why do you think so many people misunderstand it?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think quality of life is so individualistic. It's very unique. And what I deem as quality versus what someone else deems as quality is very different. And I think we misunderstand it because we help people the way we want to be helped. So I'm going to give you the quality of care that I would want for myself. And sometimes we negate to ask the person what they would want, how they would want to be treated, what do they want to do with these things. And I think it's well meaning. I don't think people are intentionally negating someone's independence and agency. I just think we all kind of rush in. I have this thing called displaced suffering, and one of the things I show is a slide with a baby on there crying. And I say, what would you guys do right now? Seeing this picture, what do you want to do? And the responses are help, pick the baby up, call. I said, but what if the baby doesn't want that? Right? Like
Exactly.
we assume positive intention, but we assume that someone wants something because we would want it. And I think quality is just very unique and individualistic.
Yeah, I really like that perspective about individualism. I think people often associate palliative care only really with the end of life, when in reality, it's so much more broader than that and and could include their spiritual and just general well-being. So obviously you've cared for countless patients and their families. What's one lesson they've taught you about living well?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked because this is a question I think about. And I think what I've learned from my patients and families is to really decide on what matters to you. And down through the years, you know what I've asked myself, Yash?
Yeah,
If I was, if I was on my deathbed, would this matter? And how much would it matter? Because at the end of the day, does it really matter like that? And so I begin to quantify things in that way, and it helps me focus as a person, not as a doctor, just as Sharika. It helps me focus on what values I have, what's valuable to me, and then put my energy there. Because what my patients and families have taught me is that at the end of life or when you're seriously ill, there's some stuff you can't get back. And so we better value what we can while we can, because you don't know when the tide will change.
amazing. When you can, while you can, is a really powerful phrase. So one thing I really admire about your work is how much emphasis you place on the entire family and not just the patient. So you've shared stories showing how meaningful experiences can bring joy, even for patients with something like dementia. Why do these moments matter so much?
Well, the truth is in palliative care, we do nothing but serious illness care, right, Yash? And
Yeah.
so the truth is when someone is seriously ill, it impacts the entire family. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we spend money. It changes our work schedules. It changes, our spirituality, how we pray or meditate, or how often people start going back to temple and church more. So it does impact the whole family. And for me, whole care includes patients and their family. It's just one unit. And in palliative care, that's how we look at it. It's you can't separate the two, right? There are times where in palliative care we work on interdisciplinary teams: doctor, nurse, social worker, chaplain, sometimes a navigator and pharmacist are on our teams. And I cannot tell you how helpful it was for the social worker to share with me, hey, the wife, she's going through chemotherapy too. Right? Something I would have never known if I just took care of my patient. Or, they, because of this illness, they got put out of their home and they're actually struggling to find a place to live. That impacts, because how we make decisions, whether they're medical decisions, whether they're what bill to pay, what grocery to buy, how we make decisions is rooted in our values and our beliefs. And if I got to choose between medicine and food, I'm going to choose food, you know? So it matters. So the whole family unit and what's going on with the whole family really matters. It's how we make decisions, including medical decisions.
Yes, decision making is so, so important. So, one of the reasons I was especially excited to work with you is because one of the projects that we're working on here at NeuroThread is that we're connecting student musicians with senior living communities. In fact, a couple of friends and I are doing a performance in August at a senior center near us. So, the goal is simple. We want to bring live music to older adults and hopefully brighten someone's day a little bit. So, from your perspective, what impact can something as simple as live music have on patients and their families?
I don't even know if it's simple, Yash. So it's funny. Before I became a doctor, I would go. Now, I'm not a singer. So when I say this, couch it with me not being a singer. But I would do the same thing. I would go to nursing homes with my church and we would sing to the patients in the nursing home. And I really had so much fun because I saw the joy it brought them, right? And it may be simple to us, but now on the other side of this, I realize that it's more powerful than fixing the broken leg sometimes. It's more powerful than, you know, Christmas, because it brings normacy to someone who is definitely in a very abnormal situation for a prolonged period of time. And I've had patients say to me, I wish I could just go to a concert, or I wish I could just walk to my pecan tree. I wish I could just call my sister, you know? And bringing music, we know medically that music will make people vital signs calm down. We know medically that music will shift someone's emotional state. They have music therapy for a reason. And so I think while I say it's not simple, is because you're truly, even though you're not a trained therapist, you're providing a therapeutic treatment in a way that everyone can hear. Music is universal. I don't have to know the words. I can just catch the beat. I don't have to know what you're saying. The beat tells me the joy of it, or the beat tells me the sorrow, or the beat tells me the melody and the mood. And that is universal. And bringing that to people that are in a very vulnerable state, I don't know if we can ever measure it. I don't know if you guys are measuring it, but I don't know if it's ever been measured, if we can measure how music improves someone in a nursing home or in a very vulnerable state.
Yeah, no, I've seen videos just the other day that explain to me that you don't need words to speak, but instead, you can just speak with music instead. You can convey a wide variety of emotions just playing an instrument. So, I think that's just such a powerful reminder that healing isn't always just found in a prescription. So, if you could give one piece of advice to young people who want to make a meaningful difference in the lives of older adults, what would it be?
Oh, I like what you just said. Healing is not always found in what?
a prescription.
Oh, I'm gonna have to steal that. Oh, that's
But wait, hold
powerful,
up,
God.
hold up. It's copyrighted, so you have to like ask me for
I'm
permission.
gonna tag you and I'm gonna put from you, but that needs to go out in social media. I I think I would say to young people that whatever gift, skill, or talent you have, know that it matters. And whatever you bring to the world, it can help somebody anywhere at any time. And don't hide it under the rock. Like you said, it may seem simple, like just going to play music, but healing is not always prescriptive. It's not. And as someone who, the story you brought up at the beginning, that patient is predominantly Spanish speaking, right? And a lot of times, because of his dementia, he only could talk to me in Spanish. But you see that he got up and danced with me. I don't even know what music he had going on in his head. I didn't even care. But just to get up and dance and sway with each other brought him so much joy he fell back on the bed. And he said, I don't know if you caught the end. He said, Mucho Puerto Rico, no good. I said, I think it was. So I think I would say, don't hide your gift, skill, and talent, no matter how young. It has utilization. And maybe you have to find and discover where it's utilized, but man, it's worth the discovery.
100%. I want to end by quoting something from Gandhi, I think. It's be the change you wish to see in the world. Everybody has unique talent, whether it be music, singing, dancing, whatever. But they ultimately, it's up to people who have this drive to help other people in their lives. And to truly be a change, I hope they understand from words like yours that everybody has something unique to offer, and with their power, they could change truly everything with the people around them. So, Dr. Newman, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate you sharing not only your medical expertise, but also your perspective on compassion, dignity, and what it truly means to care for another person. Because medicine, at the end of the day, is not just scientific, but really, it's like emotional as well. So, for everyone listening, if you'd love to learn more about Dr. Newman's work, I know I would, I'll include links in the episode description. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you next time on the NeuroThread podcast.